or you won't live to tell.
Hello everyone, that's Frank here. I'd like to welcome you to our club flyout. Copa Flight 62 is a flying club that's based in Grand Forks, and in the fall time we go for a flight there. The members go for a little trip. Today we'll be going out to Soyuz there. We want to have a look at some of the damage done by the forest fires this summer. Straight ahead of us there, as we're taxiing out on Alpha here, you can see a glide plane there. It belongs to the cadets. They pull the glide plane up there and teach cadets gliding. They have I believe it's a 172 that tows the glide plane. They come to Grand Forks a few times of the year with a whole bunch of students and cadets and do a little flying there. It's kind of interesting to watch. So we're just stopped on the taxi line here, runway 25, and we're getting ready to roll out 25, and we'll be on our way. So Ron Weirs is just ahead of me. Ron owns a company in Grand Forks that teaches flying lessons and stuff. It's called West Ave Aviation. They're also involved with drones, and they'll be setting up a school to teach people to fly drones commercially in out of the Grand Forks area. Grand Forks is one of the few areas where actually you can legally fly a drone within the airport. Transport Canada proved that this fall. So this is runway 25, and we're just taking off to cruising altitude here, and we'll be on our way to Soyuz. We are departing to the west, flying just a little bit north of the U.S. border, parallel to the border. You see the mountains in the background. That's actually the United States there that cuts across the bottom of that mountain. So we'll be catching up to Ron here pretty quick. Ron's flying a Rand's Coyote, and it's got 100 horsepower Rotax engine, it same as mine, and it cruises about the same speed as mine. The major difference is his plane is fabric covered, where mine is covered with aluminum. So at the fabric covered planes, you want to try to keep them indoors. It's the sun's a little bit hard on the fabric. So, and ahead of him is James Traynor, and he's got a Cherokee that he flies. I can't remember if it's a 140. And he works for the city. He's based out of Grand Forks, and actually he's the president of Copa Flight 62, so he's the president of our club. So here we are, we're approaching Soyuz. We had a kind of a nasty fire here. It was still smoldering a little bit when we were coming over it here, but there was nothing really much burning anymore. It spread quite fast when this fire started because it was lots of sagebrush in the area there. And it flared up really fast, and on a windy day it's pretty dry material, and it spread pretty quickly. That's not actually smoke, it's just a fog that's a layer of fog over the fire, where the fire was there. So now we're heading south towards Oliver. Okay, we're back in the Grand Forks now. We're just flying over Brown and Sons Nursery there. You can see it below us, and we're going to swing around here and take a turn to the north. We're kind of looking up the North Fork there. 2015 was a pretty memorable year for forest fires in Grand Forks. We didn't really have a lot of fires in Grand Forks, but there was big fires in Washington State, and we had a lot of smoke that blew into town. People were pretty nervous and worried that the fires from Washington State would jump the border, but that never happened. But there was alerts and stuff, so people were definitely on guard. So here we are over Christina Lake here. We're kind of facing to the east here, and we're going to swing around to the north a little bit. So you can see it's a pretty big lake. It's about 12 miles long. You don't really notice it as being that big from the ground. It's not too busy on this day, but lots of times when you fly over in the summertime, there's a lot of boats on it. There's no road access to the northern part of the lake, but there's a lot of cabins all the way along the lake on both sides. There's quite a few cabins there, lots of summer residents. This is kind of the very southern part of Christina Lake. The highway's in the background there, and there's marinas and stuff in the foreground. The highway swings around the point there, and it heads towards Cascade Falls and to the United States there. So we're heading pretty much straight south here. If you kept heading in this direction, we'd be right at the Laurier crossing there in the United States. There's actually an airstrip right at the border. Just a little bit of it's in Canada and the rest of it's in the States, but not used all that much. Christina Lake's got the reputation of being the warmest tree-lined lake in Canada. So I'm assuming somewhere there's a lake, maybe up in the Arctic somewhere, that's must be fed by a hot spring or something that's a little warmer. So we're back in Grand Forks now, right over Cascade, or a little bit maybe to the west of Cascade, and we're flying towards the west there. If you look way off in the distance there, you can probably see the runway coming in there. Some pretty nice irrigated land in this part here. And there's some range land around Grand Forks. There isn't a lot of cattle that graze there. And sometimes you can fly over here and you can see some bighorn sheep along here. Not too much grows here without irrigation, so it's pretty green where they irrigate. Not so green in other places. There isn't a lot of traffic flying in and out of Grand Forks, so the residents don't seem to be bothered by the airport much. Mostly just small planes. The bigger planes that fly in here would be the medevac, but people are grateful for that. It's one of the few places you can actually get a medevac flight out of in the nighttime, because the other valleys are too small for that. So we're just coming down into Grand Forks here. We're landing runway 25. The nice thing about Grand Forks is it's not very windy here at all, so the wind direction isn't something that usually factors into a landing. It's very rare that there's much wind blowing here at all. Quite a change from Fort St. John where I lived before. Fort St. John there is pretty windy up in that part of the country, but very calm here. I think we got probably the least amount of wind in the province in this part of BC here. So we have a 4,000 foot runway here, and this airport is owned by the city. Pretty good facilities for visiting pilots here. There's fuel here, Avgas, Jet A here, and there's also a clubhouse. Good facilities here at the airport. They have card lock, fuel, Avgas here, and then also we have a clubhouse, Grand Forks Flying Club, and a courtesy car. As we come up here, you can see the clubhouse is just straight ahead there. So there's a couch and computer phones there. You can have a nap on the couch here, use a microwave there. That's the end of the flying. Now I'm going to show you some pictures that I took during the summer of 2015 around Grand Forks with the fires we had in the region. The fires burned right up to the BC-US border, so kind of alarmed residents. Large volumes of smoke, but it wasn't really that much of a threat. The fires never did cross into BC. Once we got up and took some pictures, you could see that we're actually 2 valleys away, and there's quite a bit of burnt material between the border and us, so there wasn't any huge threat. This is actually a burn off in Nelson there, and this is along the Paulson, another fire that was burning last summer on the Paulson Highway there. This is a picture close to Grand Forks there, on the other side of Christina Lake there. Another Lynch Creek fire that was burning there, that burnt into Gladstone Park a little bit there. So while the fires were burning, and all of a sudden it got really smoky, and the helicopters they had 24 helicopters working here, but they couldn't fly because it was so smoky. So there's actually all these choppers were parked at the airport in Grand Forks for a week, and I've got some pictures of some of them. Really bad air quality during that time. This is actually me flying a helicopter. No, it's not. I worked as a fire warden. This is a kind of a cool chopper called a K-Max that I took a few pictures of. So I hope everyone enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next time on Canadian Aviation Adventures.